the top collegiate teams fighting for the chance to hashtag own the island. I'm Ernest Yarofiki, and still with me is Hiron. And this time we're going to be commentating LG Hydra versus Exos Haribons.
Now this is another one of these matches that I've been waiting for, right? I always love to see LG Hydra in playoffs, but they're like the Leonardo DiCaprio of collegiate, right? They have a lot of trouble. Like they have very strong performances, great roster, great like strategic play. A lot of their strategic doctrines are quite impressive, but they just fall short at the end. And I'm maybe this is gonna be the Revenant. Maybe this is the one that gets them that Oscar. And Exos Haribons probably feels the same way. They came into season 2. They really wanted to prove themselves, but once again, just falling a little bit short there. They got knocked out by Viridius Arcus in the losers round of the previous season's playoffs, and now they're back to try and redeem themselves.
And let's see what, like, the story here is really just about redemption. It really has been about redemption for a lot of these Metro teams. But like all of them really want to make a statement that, hey guys, yeah, all of you guys have been thinking about like the champions. But what about us? We're still competitive, and we're gonna show you why. We're gonna be on that throne. You're gonna look at us and you're gonna think how beautiful our League of Legends is. And that being said, we're gonna go immediately to seeing our players right here, looking ready, looking confident. Let's see what they have in mind.
Got some unlockable characters in the PLM roster. We haven't unlocked them yet. See, a little bit of a. I mean, some people prefer lights. I always have my lights off in my room. You know, don't want that light. No hiss, I say. So I think we're still waiting for Admu LG to fill up turn on their cameras as we're setting up the lobby for you guys. So once again, very exciting match here. Like for LG, they like to play it slow. They want to play it a little bit defensive. The meta last season didn't really allow them that. They tried to hold off, but games always ended like before 30 minutes, so they couldn't really get their late game comps going. And when they tried to go for a little bit more aggressive, they got their behinds handed back to them. So let's see. Maybe this is Admu's time to shine. You know. Meanwhile, PLM Exos Haribons, they're looking to get some stuff going here as well, because they want to prove that they're not just losers bracket material.
They want to go at it, and especially against LG Hydra. As you said, LG Hydra, an absolute top team. As you said, the Leonardo DiCaprio of the AcadArena scene here. And really, like, everyone has always been hyping them up. Everyone's always been giving them the props, because this is such a capable team. You put it on paper, you put it on performance, you're gonna see some amazing League of Legends from them. But there's something stuck in their throat every single time that stops them from achieving that greatness. There's always a little bit that lets them, like, for lack of a better word, choke out a little bit of, like, you know, rice stuck in their throat at this point. But this time,
maybe not even their throat. Sometimes you get that rice stuck in your nose.
Yeah,
that's happened to me before. It's terrible. And if it happens during a crucial moment, oh man, it just absolutely kills the enjoyment of the meal here. But of course, it's all about the rosters. If you look at Admu LG's rosters, they've still got a lot of the star players. Of course, they've got Yobel leading the charge, right? They still got Swapito, Smexy, and Snake. So for the most part, other than Kigron, it's the same roster that we're feeling here. Meanwhile, for the Haribons, for the PLM squad, it's a little bit of a shift here and there. They've got Tabsu still in there, but the rest of them are sort of new faces. We know that Nop QRST, I don't know.
Just call him Nop at this point.
Yeah, Nop. It's called Nop. We know that he is Yaji from the previous roster, so he's changed names. But the rest of them are kind of new faces to all of us. So it's going to be harder to get into this next match after all. But of course, immediate ban here. A lot of respect here for solo laners from LG Hydra, banning out the Aurelia, banning out the Gangplank. Meanwhile, Exos Haribons, the jungle seems to be their target here, as they want to lock out Smexy from a lot of his power picks.
And at the same time, they're all, like, it seems like LG Hydra's looking for a way to give Swapito as much of a fighting chance as possible. Give him the most relaxing lane in the history of man, not having to deal with missed stacks of outplay Irelia, not having to deal with I'm getting repeatedly parlayed
Yeah.
gangplank. You don't want any of that.
You don't want to face off against 800 or 850 gold power spike Vamp Scepter Irelia, you know.
You don't want any of that, but of course, they're LG Hydra looking like they want to go for the long game here once again with the Ziggs being picked here for Yobel. It seems like they want to go for the absolute wave clear all day, bring this game to 40 minutes, and just clear out everything.
Could be in the hands of Yobel, but recently we've been seeing a lot more Ziggs in the hands of bottom lane, right? So Snake. And I was always telling myself, okay, Zig's always banned, but I think if we're going to be seeing a Zig, it's going to be from LG this playoffs, right? So I like this. They take it away, power pick that was left open because, they had to ban out Swapito's Fiora, they had to ban out Smexy's junglers. Exos Haribons, though, bringing out the Amumu. With the Amumu mini bandage toss rework where he has 2 charges, pretty interesting to see it here. I was hoping that we could see at least one of them in playoffs and see how viable it really is in a competitive environment.
Let's see indeed, because Amumu was a little overtuned at the start of the season, like the League of Legends season, but then now like he's been overtaken by a few other picks in comparison to himself. But aside from that, we do see the Camille here for Swapito most likely.
Strong start.
Absolutely strong start. Hextech Ultimatum so strong, and you have the Leona being picked here for Kegron.
I like that. Yep. I like Camille and Leona together, even though their ultis might not look synergistic. It's the fact that you can dive in and pick someone off no problem. That is going to be very strong. If we see their LG's new support Kegron just roam up to mid lane or even top lane, this is going to be a very deadly combo coming in for LG Hydra. And here, they're going to be blind picking... Oh, no, not blind picking. They're going to be picking the Kled into the Camille here, which is a very, very brave move. Both of them are top laners that have certain rhythms to their trades. You want to, when your Ultra-Violence is off cooldown, or when you get that attack speed, you want to trade. Swapito wants to trade when he has the adaptive defenses up. So this could be a matchup where the cooldown difference for adaptive defenses is actually relevant here for the Camille.
Absolutely, adaptive defense did get nerfed. The length of the shield being a little bit more, being a bit less than it was before would mean that
cooldowns longer as well.
Yeah, cooldowns longer as well would mean that you'd have the Kled whacking a little too willy-nilly. But once again, the increased attack speed might fall against his favor, considering the fact that the shield would still be up once he gets all 4 of those off, depending on how much the value is.
Yeah, so it's once again one of those matchups where the 4-second, the cooldown increase on adaptive defenses might actually be relevant, because violent tendencies is gonna be there's more uptime. Like violent tendencies is gonna be up for like every 14 to 12 seconds around in the laning phase. Meanwhile, he's gonna be stuck with a 20-second adaptive defenses cooldown for the most of the laning phase, right? So it's gonna be a very tight matchup here between Swapito and Jimokyu. Meanwhile, it's gonna be Graves being locked in. We're seeing a lot of Graves today compared to last week here, so I'm really happy to see this being picked up.
Graves always a fun pick to begin with. He has a lot of dueling potential. He has a lot of ways to burst a person down once he gets his items. Even a single serrated Dirk is already a lot. Even a single Eclipse, is already a lot to really like dissuade anyone from fighting the Graves one-on-one. And now we have a Snake here locking in the Azir for Yobel. So that does mean that Snake gets the Ziggs. This is going to be a bot lane Ziggs.
Lots of power on there. Viego in the jungle, that's a knockout blow in terms of the draft if I've ever seen one. I love the comp here from Hydra. They have a good mix of physical and magic damage, because usually the problem with Ziggs is that you're dedicating a lot of magical damage into the comp here, but with the addition of the Viego along with the Camille, it's a well balanced comp here. Both of these mid laners had a lot of stuff banned against them. Diana and LeBlanc here don't want to give tabs to those to assassins in this mid lane. Meanwhile, Exos Haribons, they don't want the control mages from in Yobel's hands, Oriana and the Anivia, but Azir is still very potent at stopping engages. And
Mm-hmm.
Tabsu picking up the Lissandra is actually a good pick against that Azir because Lissandra can skip the Emperor's Divide. Mumu can't, and Kled has to go around it with his ultimate, and he can't joust into it.
But if I remember correctly, you are immune to crowd control anyways when you're ulting as Kled, so you might.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if you can go through the wall. Has it been
Yeah,
tested?
because it's an actual obstruction, so I think he'll go around it. It's gonna delay it by like 0.2 seconds, I think.
Because I did remember, like, maybe they did patch this out, like,
Mhm.
Olaf walking through the wall
Yeah, you know,
like
you
it
know,
was
you know, you know,
nothing.
Kled is a magnet for bugs, so we're gonna have to see
Let's
how
see how
it
it
goes.
works.
Because either way, I like the comp from both of these teams. So it's actually going to be Jungle Graves here. I like to see the Amumu support. It's going to be pretty brawly here in this bot lane, despite Ezreal and Ziggs being the lock-ins here as well. So I like to see the Amumu. I like to see that. I want to see how it actually fares in actual play.
Mhm.
Because if the stun is always 1 second and the global cooldown for the charges is 3 seconds, that means you stun someone and then maybe you ult them for 1.5 seconds. And that means you can stun them again after 1.5 seconds if you layer the CC perfectly, which means you could lock someone down for straight 4 seconds or 3.5 seconds,
Theoretical perma stun,
theoretically.
basically. Yeah. A
Well, not perma
theoretical,
stun, but like a 4 second stun is like almost dark binding level.
and at the same time, in the context of, like, say, a team fight
Mhm.
or a 2v2 all in, that might be enough time to absolutely just prevent the person from playing the game, and that's what you want to see. But aside from that, it's also this is actually incredibly interesting seeing the support Amumu being
Mhm.
utilized, because I was expecting jungle or something like that, but instead we did see the Graves completely blindsided me, completely forgot about the Amumu. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, Amumu, I'm still your friend, but it's one of
Mhm.
those things that just it's just a big surprise. And
Mhm.
now it's again, like, these are really unique bot lanes that we're looking at with the Ziggs bot and the Amumu support, like, against each
Mhm.
other.
Yeah, I mean, both of them do have a Zenith Blade adjacent spell in their arsenal
Hmm.
here. It's just that I guess the damage is still up there for Leona, just proccing the passives. But with
Hmm.
higher base damage on the W, the Despair, when Amumu cries, might
Hmm.
actually match it in a longer engagement. But the problem is, does Snake want to go for a longer engagement when he's up against the Ezreal, who's very slippery, can dodge the bouncing bomb, which would mean a loss of DPS in favor of Exos Haribon. So this bot lane is
Hmm.
kind of like the spotlight is on this bot lane just by virtue of
Hmm.
how interesting it's going to be. But I think a lot of this is going to depend on our solo lanes here. Like
Hmm.
uh, like the Azir Lissandra matchups, kind of chill, no pun intended. The Camille Kled one is the one that's going to be bloody.
Hmm. Absolutely. And once again, we've already seen what you can do with a really capable top lane in the previous series. Once you have a top lane that can hold their own and could contribute to every fight in the history of mankind, it becomes a an easy task for a lot of these players to do what they want, because that's what we're probably going to see. If a Camille gets incredibly enabled, if a Camille gets enabled, you're gonna see the ballsiest plays coming in here from LG Hydra. If obviously the Kled gets enabled, the engages are so much easier for Exos Haribons.
Mhm.
So it really is gonna rely on how good the solo lanes are gonna go against each other. Who's the crazier top laner? Who's the more patient mid laner? Let's
You
see
gotta
as
pick
we
one.
are gonna go in our game one here between LG Hydra and Exosatic
Mhm.
ones.
Yeah, hopefully that's a crazy with a K, because that's what we want in our solo laners right there. And a lot of it is going to depend on the junglers as well. Obviously, we know that the Graves isn't going to be the ones taking initiative in the ganks, but counter ganks with Graves can be quite potent. Once you're already committed, you've used your gap closes or your blinks. and then the Graves comes in and deals massive damage here. But of course, uh, I'm sure LG Hydra is gonna have to communicate. Okay, where's Exos Haribons jungler? Where can we go for a gank that we won't get like absolutely demolished by a Graves? And once again, this is important. This is an important match. Best of 3 single eliminations. Both of these teams want to get that taste of success. They've gotten so close to getting top dog spot in their region, but they have fallen short. Will this be their redemption? Will this be LG Hydra's The Revenant 2016? Or will PLM be the one taking away the awards going into semis? We're going to find out as we load into game 1 of ADMU LG Hydra versus PLM Exos Haribons.
Let's see indeed, because right now, once again, EU defense between the two of these teams as LG Hydra Snake looking for every single target they can find, and Urek gets disconnected, but that's just going to be a small issue as we do have a little pause here coming in. Got to make sure that everyone is at their A game. There's probably once again, it's one of those things. It's not going to have to be, you really have to make sure that every single thing you have works. Aside from internet, most likely they're looking at their own peripherals. They're looking at their own what do you call this? They're looking at their own like mental states and everything to make sure that every single advantage you can get is at its best.
Thankfully it happened before, not in the middle of the
Mhm.
matches. I think that's a little bit more impact on the mental. But yeah, these teams are definitely experienced as well. Maybe the roster for Exos ones might not be as used to playing on not the metaphorical stage, in a competitive environment with like how many viewers do we have? A lot of viewers, like 78 viewers. That's still a lot of people to be performing in front of. I do expect LG Hydra's roster to be a little bit more um, used to the competitive nature, especially they're an org that has really good management. They can schedule their practices a lot. They're used to being on a competitive stage. Their coach as well is very competent. So let's see. I think it's leaning a little bit towards LG Hydra this entire series, but Exos Haribons could definitely steal it away from them.
Yep, definitely. And you talked about how good the org of LG Hydra is. Let's not forget Exos Haribons is also an incredibly capable org.
Mm-hmm.
Finding all these players, being able to scout and facilitate for all their players is already such a great thing to begin with. And I'm pretty sure they wouldn't reach this far, considering everything. We don't know the bloodbaths that happened before the broadcast of the National Campus Open. But the
Mm-hmm.
fact that they were here, standing against some of the best in the collegiate scene, means that they were managed well and they have great players in their hands.
There's a lot of potential here for both of these rosters. And as for LG Hydra, they want to get that win before they start getting in those years, starting to become seniors. When you become seniors, you're so close to graduating. And that's just the reality for collegiate. These kids are young. They want to get that really good success before they are graduating and forced to retire from the collegiate scene by virtue of not being college students anymore. But yeah, LG Hydra's roster, they're definitely hungry for that. PLM, I'm not as familiar with them individually, especially with the new players, but they are hungry indeed.
Feels like a sports anime, but if you put it that
Definitely.
way, like the counting down until your senior year, that's some of the most dangerous moments. But that's also when you play your best League of Legends,
Mhm.
when you're close because you're hungry. You're about to get close being taken away from here, probably some of these players absolutely love this to the point of making it their lives. And
Mhm.
now and having the chance to represent themselves, having the chance to see how far they can go, and not even how far they can go, even to possibly win a championship, to possibly hashtag own the islands. That is beauty right there here
Mhm.
in the AcadArena National Campus Open.
It's prestige. It's 150,000 peso prize pool, and of course they're gonna get scholarships as well, help them out in their studies, and of course that's going to be glory and pride for your org, for your school. And if you're like an org that might be having a little bit of trouble working with the admin, then a win in a national tournament, like a collegiate tournament, is going to be a big statement to tell your school admin, okay, here we can compete. This is a thing. Collegiate esports is valid, and we are improving ourselves as students. Because when you get into these orgs, not maybe you're not might not be a player, maybe you're part of the support staff, like the manager, like the coach. Maybe you're working on pubs for the org as well. There's a lot of opportunities for esports orgs like these in campus. So if you want to bring esports to your school, just go to acadarena.com/alliance. The Alliance program is here for you. Alliance member clubs get access to our exclusive tournaments, mentorship, event support, and of course, the Globe Esports Merit Scholarship. So all those prestigious orgs like LG, like Loyola Gaming, like the USD Teletigers, like UPD Oblation Esports. These are organizations with a lot of history and a lot of hard work put into building up that foundation.
And once again, this is the land of opportunity right here. If you're going to look at AcadArena, this is an opportunity to prove to the world, like not prove to the world. Maybe that's a little bit of an over exaggeration. No, we're sticking with that. We're sticking with that. We're going to go with, we're going to, like, you're here to prove to the world, to the League of Legends world, that every single blood, like drop of blood, sweat, and tears that you've had is worth it, because you are going to be the best of the best here in the Philippines, in your collegiate scene. Doesn't matter right now. Every match matters, and both of these teams are so ready to just tear at each other's throats just so they can get at it.
Yeah, they're leashed right now during the pause, so they're like barking, like, let me at him, and of course they're gonna have to wait for a little bit. And yeah, proving to the world, I think, is the right saying for this, because if you get ahead, if you reach a top level of collegiate esports locally here in the Philippines, you might get a chance to compete in in a regional tournament, a Southeast Asian regional tournament. We've had a lot of rosters that have won in the collegiate scene all the way back before AcadArena, when like all the way ancient history, like LCL, LVL, competing in like Korea with other Southeast Asian, other Asian teams as well. So yeah, this is a really good opportunity for our players as well. So if you want to get a chance to participate in AcadArena's major tournaments, win bragging rights, and exciting prizes from our partner brands like Logitech, visit app.acadarena.com and go through their application or registration process. You're good to go. And of course, AcadArena also has a TikTok, if you guys didn't know. So hit the whoa with AcadArena on TikTok. So it's at AcadArena. And if you're part of our first 1,000 followers, you'll get the chance to win some of our weekly giveaways. Post or tweet with a hashtag AA TikTok giveaway to make your entry count. So some TikTokers dyan, go to the TikTok here for AcadArena. And I think it's going to be a redraft, but I think it's going to be the same picks and bans.
Yep, the same picks and bans. We already know that's going to be the Camille, so I'm trying to remember correctly. Was it a Viego? It was a Viego, right? For the jungle.
Jungle.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the same draft, but Exos Haribons has to sub in a player, since one of their players, their internet kind of exploded. So I think they're bringing in Law here, PLM Law. Was it? No, PM Mazzino? Okay, we'll find out when they actually get all of their picks down right. So it's gonna be at client top. It was a
Graves.
Yeah,
Graves,
Amumu, Israel bot lane with Lissandra in the mid lane here. Meanwhile, LG Hydra has Camille top side. They have Ziggs and Leona bot lane. They have their Viego jungle, and they have a mid lane. Remind me, what was her?
Azir. It was an Azir.
Yeah, it was another
an Azir.
Yeah. So yeah, it might be a little bit off plan here for Exos Haribons. Maybe their sub here might not be as used to the Amumu, but we're gonna have to see. They're gonna have to roll with it.
I mean, to be fair, the Amumu was already such a weird jump to begin with, if you think about it. So
that's true.
This wouldn't be too disruptive, in all honesty, considering that it is going to be have to be tried out. Yeah. But of course, the Ezreal here being picked out as per usual. We do realize that we do remember that there was the Azir. There's also the Viego, and of course the Amumu for the last pick right here for PLM Law. So let's see what they have in store for us.
To be fair, the Amumu did see did see a little bit of play. I think it's been picked twice. I'm looking at the stats here, but I can't see the match details of the Amumu itself. But okay, so yeah, the Amumu does not have a good win rate in the 2 times it was picked. So we're gonna have to see if this is gonna work out for Exos Haribons.
Look at them. They're getting slowly unlocked. The lights of the monitor coming in for them. They look ready. Those hands clasped together, that you can tell these guys are cracking their knuckles, getting themselves ready. And of course, as we're gonna get into the rift, it's gonna be super important for both of our teams to just get themselves mentally out there, keep themselves calm. Woosah, woosah. You gotta get it. You gotta
Mm-hmm.
get all that bad juju out of your system.
Got to get in the
Because
zone.
gotta get in the zone. First game. This is their first game against each other, and the first game being broadcasted here in our court for between the two of them. So they have to make sure that everything is flat. Nothing too
Mm-hmm.
low, nothing too high. Too excited, you might be over aggressive. Too low, you might be overly passive,
Mm-hmm.
or a little too tilted even before the game starts. So once again, everything has to be as flat as possible.
And I think LG specializes in that. It's just that a lot of times when they stay the right path going on, they get outpaced, they get outpeaked by the opposing team
Mhm.
here. So hopefully they fix those problems, right? They've got a banger comp here going into this game one. They've got the experienced players in their hands here. So I'm hoping that LG Hydra can at least make it to semis. But Exos Haribons, they're not gonna make that easy. They've got this new roster, hungry for blood, hungry for wins, hungry to prove themselves, and they're willing to kind of go off kilter here. They're kind of willing to think outside of the box here, because this Amumu, I just confirmed now, it was in an LCS Proving Grounds game.
Ooh.
So, um, not exactly top of the class for the world stage, but still, the fact that they're willing to bring out the Amumu here means that they're trying to find their own identity in this roster.
And one, that, and two, always willing to try something. Being willing to try something new is always good, because that also means that
Mhm.
you're willing to adapt to whatever the patch gives you, or you're willing to try out what might possibly win. Right
Mhm.
now, it might be a science experiment in the eyes of many, but for them, this is a great strategy.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And I mean, they've got a lot of CC coming in. They've got the Kled coming in with minor CC. Most of it is going to be coming from Tabsu and Law at this point, but that's a lot of lockdown. If they catch Yobel out before he's able to go for the Emperor's Divide, it could be catastrophic for LG Hydra, because I think the Azir here is kind of the linchpin. He controls the area where LG Hydra is going to be fighting in. If they don't control that area, then Swapito and Smexy can't go in for a dive on someone. Snake can't really put down the bombs downrange. So I think this Azir, fittingly enough for the Emperor, that he is the linchpin, the center of this operation.
Mhm. Gotta make sure that this Yobel can play as great as possible. But we've already seen how Yobel can play.
Mm-hmm.
Yobel's great at taking over a game, and he's great
Mm-hmm.
at being quote unquote the emperor. But now it's gonna be a test against how Exos Haribons is gonna respond to that, or how they're gonna, even if they don't know each other, how they're gonna deal with what they think LG Hydra might do.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be real tough here, but of course it's just game one of this best of three. Both of these teams once again have a chance to bounce back if they get knocked down on the first try. Maybe adjust their strategies here. I think this is gonna be a fun one for all of us there. I hope you guys are still staying civil in the chat there. Once again, share the stream, of course, and share your thoughts in the shared post. But who do you think is going to hashtag own the islands in today's quarterfinals? But of course, yeah, Exos Haribons. Well, I think LG Hydra on the blue side there with Exos Haribons on the red side. Really expecting quite a lot from both of these rosters.
Really hoping that they'd get straight to it, because right now I think all our players are itching to go. I'm pretty
Mm-hmm.
sure they already have plans in mind, and they're already going to go back to the standard EU defense that they started at the beginning. before the sudden emergency switch. But right now, it seems like, as per usual, it is going to be spread out. They're going to have to spread their wings towards watching each other. It is going to be the stare down before the massive fight. But aside from that, it's also going to be PLM looking at Snake right now. I think they've made eye contact at this
Mhm.
point.
I think for the most part, we're not seeing level 1 invades because it can screw up your early game so much. And in best of 3, you want to take as you wanted to limit the risks that don't really give you too much of a reward, right? Unless your jungler is someone like Lee Sin that can potentially go for a level 1. If your comp isn't just made for it, it's not going to happen. And neither of these comps are really geared for level 1 fights.
It really is going to be a little tricky, but that's why they decide to go for the EU defense.
Mhm.
Because, as you said, minimizing risk is always great. But at the same time, the little viewer in me is also wanting, hey, I want to see something a little
Level
crazy
1
with a
Clown
K.
Fiesta.
Okay, crazy with a K. But of course, this is how you play optimally anyways. This is not like this is why these guys are at the top and we're just here commentating in comparison.
Pretty sure. But once again, this time, both teams are starting on the top side of the map, which might, of course, it's just their routing for the most part. But I think it might imply that they want to make sure this bot lane and mid lane are well cared for. This bot lane could be explosive with the amount of gap closers on both sides of the supports. And this mid lane momentum could be everything, and making sure that this matchup here, which is usually kind of chill, could get melted down by interference from the junglers. I think top lane is where we're going to be seeing most of the violence happening in between these two laners.
I feel like level 2 should be fought for as hard as possible here in the bot lane. But just as I say that, immediately PLM gets level 2 earlier, which means they will push in a little bit more. But right now, if you've noticed, Zeze has been eating a lot of these bouncing bombs here from Snake, and that's going to pay off in the long run. For now, we're probably just going to see some early harass instead.
Mhm. I'm not expecting too many kills here early in the lane, because look at that, they're so well fed here. They have potions coming up. Since both of them are going, do have blue runes, the arcane runes here. They do have those biscuits ticking down as well, so they're going to be well sustained for the most part, despite not having enchanter supports. And I think at level 2, that's when the Leona really starts to pressure and push past the lane. And it's just going to be back and forth here. Meanwhile, Jimwalku here going to get pushed out of his mount. That's going to really cut down on his trading potential here.
Oh my goodness, early
Teleport
TP
too?
this early, and they're gonna go against the Leona, and I think Kegrin could escape, but just as I say that, there's the flash, there's the root, and everything else, the first blood goes, and PLM looks like they've made a statement. They want to go aggressive as early as possible if they have the chance.
And that's usually how you deal with LG Hydra, is you outpace them early game and try to snowball. That was a very big commitment, but at 3 minutes, there's not too big of opportunity cost here by burning a teleport from your mid lane at this point. Because it's not like it's gonna give Azir all the time in the world to push that mid lane and deny you. So yeah, Tabzu just misses a couple, maybe a wave at most. Meanwhile, they get first blood for himself. That's definitely worth it. And yeah, PLM going aggressive early. That's how you do it against LG.
I don't think there's any early kill pressure anyways from Viego if they're going to go for the flashless Lissandra, who, by the way, is still incredibly safe considering the fact that she does have that claw to get away with. And as I say that, there might be movement going into the bot lane. No, actually, Nop right there did back off. The Graves did back off aside from that because he was hovering in the tri-brush. I thought they were going to move for a repeat gank there.
Could have been possible at that point, but right now I think they should be fine with that. They can't go too crazy just yet because that was just a mix of very good setup and coincidences. The fact that Kiergon was pushed up, the fact that Tabsu was able to get in with a flash into the root there. I think they can't repeat that without the same resources that they had earlier. So right now, just chill, wait for the first Drake to come up, see if it's something worth fighting for. Ocean Drake, I think, is decent for both of these teams. They do want to stick in the fight for a little while here. Oh,
Speaking of fighting, Swapito has to go away. Thank goodness those hooks are going to go after him. But that being said, it is going to be a push in here for PLM's top lane, trying to deny as much gold as possible. But Camille is pretty good at last hitting under tower.
It's really just about giving Jimoku the back timer there, being able to get the good back there, get back some pickaxe. That should pretty much make the trades with Swapito go a lot smoother. Now Swapito will have to probably recall after pushing this in, unless he wants to get his behind.
Oh, there's the bandage toss, and Yobo might be in trouble here. There's going to be the Emperor's Divide there, and denies the claw coming in here, and Smexy gets Tabsu, and 1 HP is Yobo. Another bandage toss might be the savior of the day here. They're trying to play the mix-up. The no mix-up comes in, and that is how you escape a rabid Amumu, and they're probably going to punish this because Kegron looking for the Zenith Blade, but I think they're going to back off after this. No, the TP coming in!
From the behind?
Big behind TP after that is going to be Snake going with that in the Hextech ultimatum afterwards, and now Smexy has to go forward, and oh my goodness, I think Nop's not going to survive here, but he does. There's a heal, there's a flash, and right now, LG Hydra looking for the response, and that's the response.
He's rude enough? Okay, he's rude enough to steal the Gromp. That's actually pretty big. I would value that as like a third of a kill, right? A Gromp is a third of a kill at this stage.
What?
Oh.
They're not done yet! There's gonna be the Cledel, there's gonna be the Claw. 3 people get rooted, but then immediately, like, Scarl gets taken away. But you look at Yobel. Yobel's already whacking away with his soldiers. And 1 HP is Snake, but he can still do something out of this. And Smexy, what are you doing? This is amazing what you're doing. But just as I say that, he gets absolutely destroyed by 4 people because he was all the way deep in. And right now, when we thought it was going to be a little bit of a passive threat, we were seeing a bloodbath.
Okay, let's look at the replay there, right? They obviously get that last bit of damage down onto the Kled, but Smexy like, okay, I can actually get that soul there and go for a reset. But he's like, when he gets control, it's like, how the hell do you play Kled? No one plays this champion. He misses his joust into the bear trap on a rope, and that essentially dooms him. But I like that. You saw that from downtown play there from Adbu to cut them off behind the PLM blue buff. A little bit too overzealous there. PLM, though, was able to respond quite well. The replay didn't go all the way back there, but that was pretty much a good response there for PLM with Admu being able to find those opportunities.
I thought, in all honesty, that was going to spell disaster for Admu because the re-engage had all the resources in PLM's favor. But in the end, it was just going to be a little bit of a 2-for-2 in a sense.
Yeah, Viego was really good at finishing kills off there, and if he had hit that bear trap on a rope, possibly could have changed the tide of that battle and further into Admu's favor, but evening it out is okay. Swapito as well, up here in this top side, I think he's very comfortable in this position, 2 assists versus 1 kill and 1 assist with more CS on his side, but once again, he is just level 7, which means that he can actually trade as much as Jimoku can. Like, assuming Jimoku hasn't put the 2nd rank into his violent tendencies, that means the timer for adaptive defenses should be around the same as Jimoku's violent tendencies.
And it's really well done right now. Like, the solo lanes for LG Hydra looking real good in comparison to PLM's, because if you look at the CS difference, if you look at how the waves are being built towards, it really is in favor of LG Hydra's. And even with the cross-map plays, they still managed to out-CS PLM here.
Yeah, and that just goes to show how efficient they are with their timings. When they teleport, they make sure that they're the ones that are pushing in before they make the teleport plays. But here comes Yobel.
There's going to be the big one right there, as the Emperor's Divide wasn't going to be enough because collateral damage is going to go through it anyways. And that is going to be PLM getting 1 kill in the solo lane, something they desperately needed to stop Yobel from turning it into his own show. Because right now, Yobel looking like a Sigma male. Any time spent away from farming is time wasted.
Yeah, man, gotta be on that grind set, and PLM just slaps him and says, no farming for you at that point. But this does give them a little bit of an advantage picking up this Ocean Drake. I think most of the teams, both of these teams didn't really want to touch that by fear, because Ocean Drake kind of takes a long time, and if you're the one being attacked by the Ocean Drake, you are so vulnerable to getting disrupted. So With that kill, they secure themselves the ocean, which means they only have to pay attention to the Rift Herald now, which is a contestable objective. Maybe Admo will try and take this while PLM is clearing bot side of their jungle, but they could just go for the gank onto Jimoku here. A dive might be a little bit too ambitious, but okay, they're just going to go for the Rift Herald, as I said, before Nop can actually get on it after clearing his bot lane. Maybe transition into a siege topside or a top dive possibly, but Kigron's not in position for that, and Yobel might not want to leave his Sigma Mel grind set in the mid lane.
But yeah, it really, aside from that, like being able to dive Jimoku is a pipe dream, considering the fact that there is the invulnerability that you get when Scar leaves your life. And aside from that, you know, like the Rift Herald's a better idea all throughout. Like, you know, you get more gold with the platings. You have more pressure on the map, considering the fact that you could drop it on wherever you want it, and they're gonna have to be on their toes all the time. Because once again, you have to respect the Rift Herald. Like it's possibly first turret. It's a lot of platings possibly. So you gotta make sure that you get that money.
Gotta get that money for the whales, as they say. But of course, yeah, top lane might have been too ambitious. I think bot lane could be a good target for the Rift Herald as well. Mid lane could be risky, but bot lane definitely with the Ziggs could be a first turret of the game. Even though it's like it's still like 5 plates, but you know he's gonna be saving that for a bit. The timer's ticking down. It's snapshotted. The Eye of the Rift Herald snapshotted an earlier stage of the game here, so they might not want to save it for too long. But yeah, looks like they're trying to make something happen here bot lane.
It's like this small trades once again here in top lane. Then this is gonna be the story of the game for the entirety of it. And of course, Smexy is standing on top of a ward, but that might not dissuade him. It kind of will, apparently.
It
but
is dissuading ZZ and Law, though. The fact that the Viego's there means that they have to back off a bit.
But what they should be thinking about is actually like moving towards the, what do you call this? Towards the tower, so they can, the turret, I mean, so they can get themselves some plating, some gold. And aside from that, it looks like it's going to be an all-in. Are we going to see the Hextech ultimatum after this? Violent Tendencies is still up, and you don't want to give any of that meter towards the Kled, so he can't Scarl up. And there it is. There's the Zenith Blade, and aside from that is going to be the Solar Flare. But it does get flash. Was it a flash or a? Or
it's an arcane shift.
Yeah, an arcane shift away.
Well, that's as for you. They can still leverage this, but it seems like PLM decides, okay, let's give up on mid lane. Our bot lane's under duress. He can survive since he still has flash heal, but we could lose a big part of the turret's HP. So they pivot some resources there. They threaten them by moving Nop and Law a little bit down. But Admu, though, the fact that they were able to push away ZZ means that, okay, they get some playthings. I think this is the best value they're going to get out of this Rift Herald. It's gold for the big carries here, Smexy and Snake. So I think they're satisfied.
It's a free turret, yeah.
Yeah, basically 3 turrets with the Ziggs, like I said.
Yep, and really, really good. That's a lot of gold going to the right people. Smexy's going to be great because Viego can take over a game. We already saw in the previous series what a Viego can do once you're given the money, once you're given the items. And this time, like with somebody a bit more patient in that sense, we're probably going to see this from LG Hydra. We're probably going to see a little bit more because he's not on the back foot, unlike the previous Viego. This is going to be,
Rush.
Yeah, unlike Rush. Rush did the greatest possible comeback that he could, but in the end, it wasn't enough. But let's see how this story can do for Smexy here, because Viego, once again, can take over a game.
Yeah, this is very scary, this comp here from Admu. Like, if they want to take a turret, they will have it. You get, like, you dive the defender with Hextech Ultimatum, finish it off with the Viego and the Leona. And that means Yobel can use his ultimate to prevent people, or not even use the ultimate, just use the soldiers to control an area control to make sure that the flanks are well covered. And the Emperor's Divide basically pushes them off behind the turret. Could be scary going into 20 minutes in the game.
Could absolutely be, and right now it seems like Dragon is going to be up. I don't think LG Hydra is going to give this one away, considering the fact that if you want that momentum. You do have a lot of map control already because bot turret is down. The world is your oyster. And let's see what PLM is going to respond with as Admu is moving towards the dragon.
We've got teleports up for both top laners as well. Jimoko already has the Titanic Hydra, no Mythic. Divine Sunder on Swapito is a pretty big spike here
Oh,
also,
this is
right?
going to be a big catch. The Emperor's Divine has to be utilized as soon as possible. The bandage toss being taken away, and two massive flashes there. But there's going to be the catch up here as LG Hydra looks at the
Oh no.
side, and there's the charge coming in here from Kled.
Not
And oh
enough.
my goodness, Snake was caught in a really bad position. And I don't think Keegren wants to be here either, because this is going to be big for PLM. This is the team fight they've been looking for. And I think LG Hydra is going to cut their losses. They're going to all back off, and they're just going to let the Camille at the top. Swapito's probably just going to be pushing instead.
Man, Yobel did not know what hit him. He was recalling, they caught him out, and Snake, they see Snake with a ward, and they're trying to respond bot lane. They think they can actually respond, but with one snap of a finger by the Kled in this choke point, there's no escape. And even if Snake could get the satchel charge to teleport him over, to jump him over the Krugs, he would still be in the hands of PLM because they had another member waiting around the wings there. So that's a pretty big tempo swing. Get some kills, secure the Infernal Drake. I do think we're going to be seeing we might be seeing a cloud rift here coming in for both of our teams.
That's a Venn diagram of death if I've ever seen one. But that was also really unfortunate because Snake was really going to go over the wall, but the problem was Bear Trap on a rope was already timing out into as he was traveling, he gets thrown into the situation that he was in. But aside from that, that was really unfortunate. PLM's awareness towards their movement and their warding is incredibly good towards the objectives that they want, and we might see even more from them. But right now, it doesn't seem like it, as the Everfrost does not get a catch.
Right now, PLM, it's relatively even at 17 minutes. The gold value of the Infernal Drake and the Ocean Drake should be about even to Admu's gold right now, and I think Admu is okay with going even, right? This comp from LG is okay with cutting even until 30 minutes into the game, after which they can try and take over. But for PLM, I think they have to try and leverage this more aggressively, which is what they're trying to do. If you look at their warding, they're always warding the entrances, not too deep. Like, yes, here Law gets a deep ward around the Gromp and the blue buff, but it's really all about making sure that they can't get counter ganks off, like warding entrances of the enemy jungle so they can watch on where Smexy might be going if they ever might decide to make a play on a side lane.
And that's the awareness that you want dealing with with a top team like LG Hydra. You got to be aware of your exits, your entrances, and and every possible thing, because the mix-up's going to come in. And just as I say that, it is going to be Zeze trying to back himself off, and he's actually aggressing forward with a massive Mystic shot into the oh my god, into the Arcane Shift, and the True Shot Barrage being thrown out here isn't going to be enough to kill though.
It's not. It is going to delay the back a little bit, which I don't think matters too much, but it does delay Snake a little bit from recalling and getting back into lane. I think if ZZ lined up that True Shot Barrage to hit the wave also, could have been more useful. Allow Tabsu to push it up further, which would mean that this Lissandra could go for a roam top side, or maybe bot side and bully Yobel a little bit more.
Yep, probably. And now they're gonna go all in. Swapito dealing a lot of damage without getting anything out of his health. But that being said, PLM was so ready to jump on Swapito had he gone any further in.
I think Swapito had the awareness to not go up too much when they don't have too much vision around the important areas here of PLM. So Swapito, he's fine with resetting this lane here, keep this lane as it is. He can trade a lot with Jimoku at this point, especially when he reaches level 13. Gets a little bit more cooldown on those adaptive defenses, but I don't think he can go for a solo kill unless Jimoku purposefully stays around despite being low in HP after loses Skarl.
I don't think that's going to be the case here, but instead we do see LG Hydra sieging as methodically as possible. They're keeping themselves as kosher as possible. Keep it calm. Don't be overly aggressive. You have a slight advantage anyways because you have Ziggs who can siege forever.
Unless it's an inhib turret, they know that if they just continue whittling down these turrets, eventually Snake can pick them up. So they're perfectly fine with, okay, they're threatening a glacial path into Frozen Tomb. Let's give them that. Let's give them a little bit of space and just satchel charge after. I think later they'll be a little bit more aggressive when they're more comfortable in the late game, but for now, they're fine with slowly eating away the layers, because it's not like PLM is really threatening to take any of these turrets, right? If you look at the turret HP, most of it is still pretty healthy, like above 50-60% for Admu, which means they're not being pressured here. And so LG Hydra can slow it down. They can just slowly break down and digest those outer turrets.
Seems like both teams are going to posture towards the dragon here. Windrake is great for both of these teams. You want to have multiple charges. You want to have multiple frozen tombs. You want to have multiple curses of the sad mummies. But at the same time, it's also great for LG Hydra. You want to have what do you call this? The Super Mega Death Bomb being up all the time. And just as I say that, there's going to be the engage coming in. There's going to the curse of the sad mummy. Only hits one, but it deletes one other person. The Viego's already gone. There's the hookshot coming in, and we're probably going to see the Hextech Ultimatum. Look at how the soldiers are just shredding away, along with the combination of this big Ziggs going at it, and now the Skarl gets taken out. Violent Tendencies gets taken away. Is he gonna shoot
dancing?
What a block shot there coming in here. Yobel is 1 HP. Literally sneeze on this man once again. And once again, we might see the kill coming out here, but Skarl is gonna be back from here on out. Unless there's melee, it's not gonna be enough. The Scorch, it's not gonna kill. He's 1 HP. He's 1 HP. What's gonna happen here? Violent Tendencies? No. Finally, Satchel. My goodness, the Kled takes forever to kill. But that team fight was great because both mages were untouched in the side of LG Hydra.
They kind of spend a lot to try and take down this Viego. But in the end, they spend too much. They let Yobel just kind of strike at them from over the wall here. And Snake and Yobel are fine. They've got that covering fire on. They go ahead in terms of it's going to be a Drake fight here. They do secure the Cloud Drake. They do get out of dodge quickly as LG Hydra gets out of the way before PLM runs them over. So they do get the Cloud Drake and deny soul pressure from PLM.
Yep, and this is where it gets really tricky because as I said before, if Ziggs gets like 4 Windrakes, you have Mega Inferno Bomb every 2 waves. Every 2 waves.
Much.
And that's not what you want. You don't want to see the Ziggs like throw a Mega Inferno Bomb from downtown, destroying whatever wave you had that was pushing in your favor. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, and right now with Drake being down and out of commission right now, it's going to be the Baron that both teams are going to be focusing on. And both of these teams can take out Baron, yes, even without a proper marksman. Ooh, gonna have to take out Law there. That's pretty much 1 minute.
Gonna have to back off there. Oh my goodness, the combination of the Mega Inferno Bomb and the fact that this is a Viego, that was a lot of damage. And Yobel still gonna go for the re-engage. He does have soldiers available, and that's gonna be the stab coming in here. True Shot Barrage is gonna finish him off though. But aside from that, that's gonna be the exchange that you want. And this Camille, Swapito, my goodness, look at all the damage he's dealing. He's just trapping this Kled in, and he might not even have he might not even have his mount back. I was about to say that, but I bit my own tongue, my goodness.
Yeah, and just like how Skarl bit the dust right there, like I said, post level 13, Swapito can start brawling against Jimokyu because 10-second cooldown on adaptive defenses means that you're eventually going to outtrade Jimokyu, beating down his temporary HP from Skarl. Their Admu, like I said, Smexy, or rather Viego, operates best as a finisher, not as a full-on brawler there. And when you have Mega Inferno Bomb, anything is cleanup, right? After the anything is considered a cleanup. So Smexy just goes in, gets those resets for his Heartbreaker, and that's all she wrote, right? And this is them, Admu, starting to accelerate their game plan. They're fine with going even, but now that they've got a taste of a lead, a 4K lead, which is relatively small at 24 minutes, they can start leveraging this. With 4, because even though that's just a 4K gold lead, a lot of that is concentrated on Snake, so they get an initial alpha strike with the bombs, with a Mega Inferno Bomb, and then Smexy and Swapito can clean up. Or Swapito could continue split pushing and beating up Jimokyu. That's also an option for them. Go for the 4v4.
And can I just point out that Snake's placement in both the bouncing bombs and the Mega Inferno, they've always been absolutely fat. It always hits
Mm-hmm.
3 people, 2 people. No, like there's always collateral damage. There's never just one target. And that's what you want. That's the optimal for Ziggs, simply because of the fact that it is AOE, and having people to have the chance to clean up would mean that AoE is much more important that way, because you have people who can reset and reset and reset.
Yeah, and I think that's also part of the comp here for PLM. If you look at it, Kled, Graves, Lissandra, Amumu, these are all relatively close-range fighters. They want to go in, they want to dive in into the front line. And so that naturally makes them bunch up together, which means Yobel and Snake are a lot more effective.
Mm-hmm. Once again, the soldiers are going to start stabbing. You have the bouncing bombs, as I said before. It's so easy for Swapito and Smexy to just come in and clean up. They look like the best janitors in the world. You could hire them for $30,000 and they'd clean up really well if you have a team like this.
Clean up the whole skyscraper, like a BGC building, clean it up. Of course, the Baron is still the apple. Right now, Cloud Drake is not in a position where it's more valuable than a Baron. Like maybe if PLM had 3 stacks, it would be worth trading. Even then, it would be a tough call. Baron is still gonna be the winner in terms of value, straight up value. But this does mean that it's going to be a lot more important here than Cloud Drake. Of course, both of these teams are going to take Cloud Drake to prevent PLM from going for Soul Point, and also if it's just free, they should just take it because it's faster than going for Baron. Looks like that's what Admo is setting up for. They're okay with leaving Baron for now. That's the bigger picture. Right now, they could try and contest this Cloud Drake, and it's probably going to be another game-changing team fight.
It really is gonna be, because as we can see right here, they've already set up so easily. But once again, PLM trying to outvision them. They've once again placed their wards not too deep, and making sure that as you mentioned, they don't place their wards too deep. They just make sure that it's right there, right then. And at the moment, it's going to be a TP coming in here. This really early. The Flash Zenith Blade does miss. The Solar Flare hits 1, but it's only for a slow. And there's the Curse of the Sad Mummy, only hitting 1. There's the Flash hit. 2 people get rooted. This might be the big fight that PLM's looking for. But as I say that, the Mega Inferno Bomb's going to chunk a lot of people. And once again, cleanup crew is coming in as Swapito is going to be on a killing spree. There's going to be the Viego, Smexy. My goodness, you really are. The double kill coming in here from Smexy. And it's going to be a triple kill from the looks of it, as it's going to be the cleanup here for LG Hydra as they get the dragon and the ace.
Oh man, Tabsu missed the mark there. Like he went in chasing. Like let's see how far back they see us. So yeah, they kind of blunder. A lot of it missed onto Law, and here though, Tabsu, he was forced to use the ult on himself instead of either Snake or Yobel, which means these two can start taking over, setting up the resets for Heartbreaker here, for the Heartbreaker of Smexy here. That was so close, and I feel that. I play Lissandra. I feel how painful it is where you're just 1 pixel away from getting that huge game-winning or fight-winning ulti, but they just get away faster than you can get.
And aside from that, there's also Swapito with the beautiful flank, really distracting, the front line. Because I'm pretty sure that would have been different if Kled was right there in the front line. But once again, he was being distracted. His hand was full because Swapito was wailing, just wailing so hard at the bottom side of the dragon.
And right now, pretty decisive lead now, 53k to 45k. At 30 minutes, like I said, Admo at 30 minutes, that's when they start their engines, really. For all the fights previously, that was just them filling up the tank with gas. Now is when they start revving up and start running down PLM. Because, like I said, it's the setup. They take down these turrets really fast, and then SAS will charge it. If PLM tries to contest, they either threaten with a flank from Swapito and Smexy, or just deny them the defense with the Emperor's Divide. And they haven't used any of their big utilities here. They haven't used the Emperor's Divide to prevent PLM.
Oh, this is going to be a big fight. The Emperor's Divide going to be utilized, but just as I say that,
that's big.
This is a big pickoff that PLM wanted, because right now it is going to be Exos Haribons going at the driver's seat as the fight breaks out in their favor. 2-0. There's a little bit of an overpush there from LG Hydra, and PLM manages to get it in favor of them.
Yeah, pretty big blunder there. Pretty much what happened was, yeah, Snake and Yobel had no one fronting for them. So a little bit of it, they tried to divide their assets too thinly at that point, and even with the Emperor's Divide, if they have no backup, it's not gonna do much. But it pretty much stops a lot of the momentum of that Baron take. They're still ahead in gold, but instead of 8K, it's now 6K. It's a little bit of a smaller gap there. But I think Admo's still in a very much ahead position. They just gave PLM, though, a chance to close the gap by a significant margin from 8K to 6K to 5K in the span of a minute. Not a good luck here, and Admo has to recover from that very well. Mega Inferno Bomb to stop the push, prevent PLM from getting control over bot lane, force a teleport topside. Yeah, Admo's in a pretty okay spot despite the blunder.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to point out that there was a really ridiculous Tokyo drift there from Gemokyu on his charge, just
Oh yeah,
just narrowly avoiding the Emperor's Divide. But yeah, like as you said, it really was the two cores of LG Hydra, the two carries being caught in a bad position, just as the two mages, I mean, being caught in a bad position. But now they do have the advantage again, and they're looking at bot lane, one of the only unpushed lanes that they have. They're moving towards putting vision. Once again, a slow chip away. They're not being overly aggressive. They're not catching in too deep. They don't make eye contact and go straight to chasing down whoever they want money from. Instead, they're just setting everything up, bugging the entire place with wards and whatnot.
and Admo has to use that pick off as a lesson. That has to make them realize that they can't leave Snake and Yobel unattended. They can try and go for a flank with Kiegron and Smexy, but they can't leave these two alone. They have to at least have Swapito or Kiegron there to try and peel for Yobel and Snake. And yeah, this is going to be very tough here if Admo does not realize that, does not fix the mistake that they did earlier.
Mm-hmm. This is you'll have to hold each other's hands. Once again, PLM is still a really strong team. They have the items for it. Look at the Graves. The Graves has 3 items. The TP being utilized this early means that they want to push this bot lane hard. And aside from that, it is gonna have to be PLM's jungler and mid laner having to control this game, because that's what happened there. Really good catch, basically.
Admo is playing this a little bit dangerously, right? 1-1 and 3 leaves him open for PLM rushing one of the groups down, and that's as PLM's always looking. They're looking to cut off the 3-man here of Admo. So Admo backs off. Good. They're learning a little bit. Drake is going to be up very soon here as well, and they're going to be fighting over it. Looks at damage coming through. Charge.
Oh, the charge misses! The charge misses. This is going to be big for LG Hydra, as right now Exos Haribons has to disperse, and the X-Tech ultimatum coming in. And look at that Mega Inferno Bomb hitting everyone! This is going to be a reset after reset afterwards, because Yobel gets a kill. Afterwards, it's gonna... And oh my goodness, nope, I can't even finish my words, because this is big for all of them. And this is going to be the last stand of Exos Haribons ADC. He's just going to have to watch as his base is going to be taken away from him. And once again, the backs are being stopped here by Smexy. Zeze needs to back off. He needs to kite, and he must, because right now, he once again survives against Smexy. Can Smexy do it? Oh no, the mistiming is going to be bad, and Smexy gets taken down, but at what cost? It's going to be LG Hydra getting the first game after a hard-fought match and a beautiful team fight at the end.
Oh man, I told you, if they don't immediately catch out Snake or Yobel, it's gonna be a bad time, because one Mega Inferno Bomb, and that's already set up for the cleanup for the Viego there. And of course, even if with no hard reset mechanics, it's still gonna be well appreciated with the device. I'm already left. I'll have to get water, guys, before they re-lobby. But
Yep.
yeah, just stay hydrated, guys. Yeah, come back without missing a beat. But yeah, Admu there. That was a stereotypical Admu win, where they extend the game 30 minutes, and then after that, once the gas engine's fully gassed up, that's when they start revving up and starting the engine. But that might be that means they haven't changed for the most part. They just changed to adapt to the meta, but the play style is generally the same here for Admu.
And it's really, really beautiful. How to describe it? It's absolutely beautiful once their team fight comes in, and this is the winning team fight.
Mhm.
After that massive miss, and they were tunneling on the Camille a little too much.
Mhm.
That's what happened afterwards. The Mega Inferno Bomb dealt so much damage. This is a 3-item Ziggs after all.
Mhm.
Leandries is there. You have the try to remember, the Horizon Focus is there. Like a
Mhm.
lot of these items just pile up and deal so much, and that's what happens. Like the team fighting is just so good in favor of LG Hydra.
Yeah, Admo really learned that they can't leave Snake. They can't have no frontline for Snake and Yobel. So that's when they won the team fight. And of course, from that team fight, they had the awareness. Okay, 4 members down. We have a wave pushing up mid. We can finish the game. Just stop the back from the marksman so you can't clear the waves.
Mm-hmm. And once again, positioning is key.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Of course.
it really was the case. The pickoff was because of a misposition, and just like that, it was so easy to for LG Hydra to realize, yeah, as you said, hold their hands, and that's it. And aside from that, PLM's last stand was really that charge, right? That big
Mm-hmm.
charge that everyone thought was gonna hit, but it whiffed so hard, and the whiff punish was really well done. And this first team fight, once again, is position. The position is key. Mega Inferno bombs, bouncing bombs, the soldiers just whacking away. This is what you want to see when you're LG Hydra with that kind of comp.
Mm-hmm. And here, yeah, that the charges are really crucial here. And I think they
Mhm,
still had time. They still had time to disengage from that after missing the charge, right?
mhm,
I really think that okay, we missed the charge. Let's back off. I think that should have been a call here for PLM because at that point, cooldowns aren't too long,
mhm.
especially even for ultimates, even for Kled's ultimate. So I think they could have just backed off a little bit and stopped chasing.
But of course, never like don't beat them. They don't have to beat themselves up too much for it because there's still game two and possibly a game three. So you have a lot of ways to win yourself a few games here. And against LG Hydra, one of the best teams in the scene. You
Hmm.
got to make sure you got to bring your aim game. So right now, it is going to be back to the drawing board. The Amumu actually did have a presence. Would you do you think they would have had like a better presence should they have taken something like an Alistar or a Morgana, or do you think the Amumu was okay in that sense?
Amumu was okay, right? Like it did what Amumu was supposed to do, and that was for the initial like blast going in, the initial blast of CC because it really did lock down Snake and Yobel. I do think though what they could have changed was top lane, Kled, right? Kled was kind of an okay pick against the Camille, trades favorably for the most part pre level 7. After that, it all goes downhill. It all goes, if you don't snowball the Kled against the Camille, it kind of goes downhill after Camille reaches level 7, which is not ideal. You want a top lane that's, especially with that comp that they had, uh, you want it to be relevant for the rest of the game,
Hmm.
and I just didn't see that. I mean, Irelia was banned. There were a lot of other options. Jace, I think Jace just gets bodied by Camille in a matchup like that. Looking at the skill levels of both top laners, so it's kind of difficult. Renekton could have been another thing. It doesn't stay
Hmm.
relevant the whole game, but at least it trades possibly favorably against the Camille for the most part of laning phase.
Possibly the Olaf, maybe, maybe not. Fulfills the same kind of skirting the line kind of a play style that Kled does have, and also has a CC immune. What do you call this? A CC immune
Yeah, Red Ragnarok,
ultimate.
but
Yeah,
it's okay. I do
it's
think
yeah. That's
Olaf
why.
falls off really hard
Yeah,
as well.
that's
Oh,
why it gets a little tricky there. But then that's why they're gonna have to go back to the drawing board here.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
let's see what Exos Haribons has in store for game two. Because LG Hydra has all the momentum in the world. They made such a statement with an amazing comp, actually. An amazing comp combined with amazing positioning from both of them. From both their mages, and from the fact that Camille was practically unstoppable. Swapito
Mhm.
was untouchable. the moment Kled, every time the Kled would look in the direction of Camille, the Camille did not have any damage dealt
Yeah, just
onto
goes
it.
for the hook shot into the gap close.
Hmm.
And I do think that's why LG Hydra takes out these top laners, right? So Exos Haribons responds, takes out the Camille. The Aurelia now is still, still banning it out. They want to make sure that Swapito has a very calm lane without the Camille. I'm excited to see what else Swapito has in his roster of in his pool of champions here. But the thing is, if LG Hydra, okay, it's a fully reactive banning phase here for Exos Haribons, which with LG on blue side means that they can potentially pick up whatever Exos Haribons banned in the previous game.
Any power picks that you want, it's free real estate at this point, considering there's 2 bans from the previous game. These are reactive bans, as you said. These are, can I even call it respect bans? Because I don't think, I'm pretty sure they could play around it again.
Trauma bans. I feel like those are trauma
bans. Ooh. But
yeah,
there it
a
is.
full set of trauma bans here by Exos Haribons. They lock out 3 out of 5 of the previous draft here from Hydra, which means with LG being on blue side, they can really start leveraging this, and they immediately go for Lee Sin here, most popular jungler that we've seen. Is Exos Haribons gonna go for this Yasuo? That's blind picking a Yasuo? Blind picking Yasuo is kinda Monka W, but if they want to go for it, okay, Zed's okay. Zed's just okay. I feel like Zed is just okay. As a blind pick, I'm not too hot on it, but at least it's not Yasuo. Karma.
And it's really one of those things that, of course, Karma did get slightly buffed, and she's always such a good pick in terms of for enabling any of your carries, having that speed up, having that shield. It's always great, and it's also great for your team if you have the Shirelius plus the Mantra E combination. It's the Mantra Defiance combination. It's absolutely amazing.
And
But
with a
that being
Zed,
said,
that could save 1 or 2 gap closes to get to his targets here. And Hydra, once again, the beginning of this draft is very high, is very LG, right? They pick up a very good blind pick jungler, and then they follow up with an early control mage like Orianna that scales very well. Ooh. Instead of going for a full-on brawler, it's going to be Ornn here for Hydra, which means that they're going to be picking up damage for their bot lane. And it's got to be someone that deals a lot. It could be Aphelios if it's not banned out here in the second phase.
possibly, but right now, from what we see, LG Hydra wants to go for another standard team fight, like set of champions here. You already have the Orianna. You have a great ball delivery system in the form of in the form of Smexy. I mean, Swapito, on the other hand, does have the Ornn getting a really reliable engage, in the long range engage, even in the form of the Call of the Forge God. And really, like, they're banning the Vayne, considering that is a high damage carry, but I don't think that is going to be the pick LG Hydra is looking for. Exos
Aphelios or a support. Ban Aphelios or a support.
Something that can enable an Aphelios. Yeah, you don't want to deal with that. And of course, taking away the Ez. Yeah, because Ez Karma is an absolutely annoying bot lane to deal with. And the fact of the matter is, the bot lane for Exos Haribons performed really well for every given for anything given. And now the Aphelios being banned away here for Exos Haribons means LG Hydra might have to look for something else. What do you think is going to be the next set of choices here?
Okay, I was gonna say that. Okay, I was gonna say that Varus isn't the play here. Varus does not mesh with the comp that Hydra has built here. So I was gonna say like Tristana is a possibility here if they want to go for hyper carries. We did see a Jinx last week. I do believe we did see a Jinx last week. But I don't think Jinx is the play here either. Ooh, Ashe here from Exos Haribons. I like this. Okay, Kaisa. It's kind of boring, but Ashe is kind of. But I do realize that maybe they need the damage after possibly the Zed falls off. The Jinx could be the lock-in. Okay, the Kalista I will not. I'm not expecting it, but definitely something that deals damage throughout. I don't think the Kalista is the right play here, considering the rest of their comp, the Orianna and the Ornn. If you pick up the Kalista, it's not a lot of damage. Yes, there we go. That's Tristana. I did predict that earlier that it's possibly another hyper carry like that. Nautilus is a good supplement to that early aggression that Tristana can bring out with the rocket jump. So I'm really liking the draft here from Hydra. Let's see how Haribons finishes this off after the lock in Nautilus.
You knew it. That's a jungle Zed. If they're gonna lock in that Aatrox, that's a jungle Zed. They buffed a Contempt for the Weak on the jungle. For Zed,
100%.
yeah.
100% is a huge swing. And this does mean, though, that they are lacking a bit in like really beefy frontliners. At most, they'll have
Mhm.
regen focused frontliners, and how Silas and Aatrox can stay in the fight by virtue of being like really vampiric in the sense like Kingslayer around. And naturally, the Aatrox, while not as immortal as the Aatrox of old pre-rework, it's still a very, very good at surviving in the middle of these fights. So they have that. So this is a very aggressive composition. Imagine them getting sped up with Resolve mantra'd up. This could mean that it's a lot harder for LG Hydra to stop and stem the tide of Exos Haribons. But once again, LG Hydra has a well-balanced comp that can perform well after 30 minutes. It's all about surviving up until that point, though, because Exos Haribons will want to finish this at 24, 25 minutes.
Extended fights though will be in favor of Exos Haribon simply because of like the physical vamp and the basically the omni vamp from both of these solo laners. You combine it with constant application of resolve shields from Karma,
Mm-hmm.
that might actually spell disaster for LG Hydra if for example Snake
Mm-hmm.
gets taken out of the fight too early. If
Yeah.
somebody basically a lot of long-winded fights would be in favor of Exos Haribots. But
Mm-hmm.
LG Hydra has an amazing set of like engage in the form of Smexy and Swapito and Kigron. They
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of ways to move forward. They have a lot of threats, passive threats even. You don't have to throw out the Call of the Forge God for them to for Exos Haribots to fear it. You don't have to throw out the depth charge. You don't have to use the shockwave. Exos Haribons will forever be wary, and they can siege all day because this is a Tristana.
And they've got full control there in a lane. Usually, when you're defending a lane, a turret directly from the front, you're in a pretty, not exactly a choke point, but it's enough of an enclosed space that a lot of angles of Call of the Forge God can catch you if you try to back
Mhm.
out. So Exos Haribons will want to, of course, fittingly, they have a Zed. They can try and defend those from the flanks, maybe push LG Hydra out from that direction. But once again, if they can catch out Snake, it's pretty much done here for Hydra. Even later in the game, even with if Yobel scales up in the damage, primarily the Oriana is a tool for utility, not for cleaning up these fights. So if they can take out Snake, they can run over the rest of LG Hydra's comp.
Mhm. Right now, LG Hydra looks like they want to slowly choke out Exos Haribons. It's especially since Exos Haribons doesn't even have that good of wave clear. Think about it. You don't have your only Silas isn't a good way like isn't good at wave clearing, at
Mhm.
clearing waves. Zed, do you really want Zed to be at the front to clear waves? I don't think so. You'd want him to be at the flanks.
Mhm.
Like he and Kaisa only has Icathian
Evolve,
Rain.
yeah, Evolve Q is decent.
Yeah,
Like
like
once again, the wave clear is mediocre.
and that's why it seems like LG Hydra looks like they want to go for a slow choke, but Exos Haribons seems like they want to go with a comp that's pedal to the metal, car
Mhm.
crash all day.
Yeah, pounces straight for the jugular rather than like wearing them
Mhm.
out like a pursuit predator that LG Hydra is with
Mhm.
the endurance that they have. I do like the draft from both teams, but I will say that I particularly have a bias for LG Hydra's draft here because it's standard. It's a very well-rounded comp. And while Ornn hasn't really been seeing the light of day compared to other more aggressive uh, top laners like Camille, Renekton, and Jace. If you need a tanky top laner where you can and then all in your damage on the mid lane or on the bot lane, Ornn's there, and that's going to even more amplify the items of the Tristana once it's built up. Get that once you get like a Ornn upgraded item as a hyper carry, you're doing pretty good.
Absolutely, and this is gonna be a ticking time bomb. This absolute ticking time bomb here for Exos
Mhm.
Haribons. Their only way to fight in the late game is really get a pick off against Snake, as you said. And once again, these long extended fights will be in their favor. But if they don't get these asterisks, there's so many things that you have to check off your
Hmm.
checklist to win a fight. But in LG Hydras, all they need is time. All they need is water, and that plant will grow, and that plant will choke you out.
Yeah, with its roots and vines here. But there is one big if. That X had it once. If none of the other ifs are fulfilled, if they can at least take out Snake, then they're in a good position for the rest of the team fight. But once again, their comp isn't really made other than their jungler. Their comp isn't really made to isolate this Tristana and burst it down immediately, which is going to be a problem. And ZZ here, ZZ is going to be relatively difficult to make work before he also scales up as a hyper carry, because if he's in range to auto attack, he's in range for death charge.
That's going to be really hard because, as you said, the Kai'Sa range absolutely miserable. So it's really hard to play around that kind of range. And right now, it seems like they're just going to play it standard as per usual. It does look like the game plan here for LG Hydra seems like you're just gonna have to play as standard as possible, play it as kosher as possible. But early damage is what they want, and they're probably gonna go
What?
for a lot of early fights here. And just as I said, early fights, we already see Yobel at like half HP, forced to drink a potion this early on, and he can't even back anymore because the minions have
Yeah.
already spawned.
I think he could have backed before then, but past 11:15, too late. Has to make do with burning one pot here against the Silas. A little bit of a win here for PLM if they can leverage that. Oh man, there's revenge
Goodness.
immediately from Hydra, forcing the flash. That's
Yep.
and the exhaust from Law, and forcing him to stay in lane with like 30% HP, taking down the potion. Means he'll probably end up around 60%. They're still going for it.
Oh my goodness, the level 1 shenanigans is going to be real crazy with a K right here because we are already going to see Keyground with a beautiful dredge line. But as I say that, look at that monster Q dealing so much damage at Kai'Sa, dealing a lot of damage for himself. He gets the blue buff, and that's going to be Keyground getting Zeze. And this is going to be even more. Are they going to punish this kind of defiance? But no, Snake, can he escape that? He's getting flashed upon, and this is going to be a lot of damage. The Zed gets more kills. This is going to be bad. A blue buff on the mid laner too. This early on, you're not going to see level 2 on the jungle, but instead you're going to see a blue buff on a mid laner. Still somewhat of a win.
Look at that. Well, at level 1, there's no contesting. There's no contesting a buff against Lee Sin, because even if you're both level 1 smite, he has the resonating strike and you don't. So the thing there is that they let him take it. Well, at least they tried to steal it. They tried to contest it at least. But if inevitably Smexy gets that, they just pile the damage on him, punish him, steal the buff back. It kind of got messy there for Admu. Did it not pay off? Initially, it was good, but once their members started getting whittled down, that's when the passive of Zed, Contemporary Week, really shines.
Like just going at it and just clearing out every single person that was 1 HP. All he had to do was auto attack, auto attack, auto attack. But right now the levels do belong to Smexy because he does have the buff advantage. He does have the EXP advantage. Sure, you do have one kill and 2 assists as the Zed for Nop here, but that's not going to be enough. That's not going to be enough in terms of advantages this early on.
Yeah, definitely not here. The important thing is that there's a kill on the Zed already. The usual problem with jungle Zed is despite having a faster clear speed, he's still not as farmed up as, say, a mid lane Zed. With a kill, that's going to pad that a little bit. With a kill on ZZ, that pretty much means he's always going to be a longsword ahead of Snake, which will deter the early aggression that you normally see from these Tristana Nautilus lanes. So, and with the XP lead as well, they're still going to go for
Dredge
Law,
line
though.
being utilized here, and now Law has to back off. The snare does get utilized, and here comes Zed. Nop is going to come in. He does have the Living Shadow, deals a lot of damage. The burst from Zeze and Zed. My goodness, just so much.
Oh man, yeah, that's even without the CC, even with just the slow from Shadow Slash, you can finish off targets super well with an auto attack from the passive of Zed. And here he picks up another kill for his marksman. Less than 5 minutes and already having a bounty for the killing spree. Well, not really killing spree, but the bounty for the shutdown there is going to be up for Zeze. Noon Quiver already compared to Snake, which means For the rest of the time, the only people that they can try to take down is going to be Law in this bot lane. Zeze will have the heal soon enough, and with the Noon Quiver in his hands, it's going to be hard for Admo to get favorable trades, but they can try and go
Oh
for
my
Jimokyu. Oh, Sonic Wave is going to miss.
just by a
Perfect
little
advance
bit.
there from Jimokyu. Yeah.
Just by a little bit. That was unfortunate. But right now, Swapito doing a lot of work against Jemikyu here. Because once again, he can just build a Bramble Vest right in front of him and completely negate the early healing.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much right there. And of course, this lane is fine. Obviously, Swapito likes it even more than Jamoki does. Jamoki should be pressing to try and win this lane. But I think he's fine. He's fine and he's happy, even though he's not getting a lot of jungle attention. He's actually losing a little bit against Swapito. I think he's happy as long as Zeze and Tabsu are succeeding in life. And that does mean that they're going to be allocating a lot more resources. But here comes Nock. He could go for a gank. I think Swapito snips it out. He's level 6, though. Even with a level 4 Zed, level 6 Aatrox, I don't think they want to fight against Swapito, who does have the ulti at that point.
Definitely. And just as they got to keep it patient. They got to make sure that there's nothing too much here. Because right now, even then, even if you do have a lot of you have the ulti, you can engage. The kill potential isn't there because once again, Ornn is a hard nut to crack. And aside from that, it is also going to be the movement here. The map movement here is also really, really dark, so you're not really sure where everyone else is going to come in. But aside, and really, it really does seem like it's going to be a slow-paced game here for now, unless PLM finds another pickoff, finds another opportunity that presents itself at this point.
Yeah, I think Admo LG Hydra isn't too phased about that level 1 blunder where they gave PLM a lot of kills, because they haven't died since then, which means that, okay, they're willing to go for the slow game. Once again, it is in an LG Hydra team's favor if the game goes on for longer. And the longer the game goes, the less relevant that the 1k gold lead that PLM built up is going to be in that level 1. It's going to plateau eventually if they don't continue to press it, which Admu played around it quite well. They didn't try to get greedy. Like, usually a lot of teams, if they lose early, they want to get back as soon as possible. They want to get back their gains as soon as possible. Here, Admu is going to be very, very patient and just let the game play out.
Gotta make sure that the patience is there, because as once again, it is their signature. It is something that they want with this kind of team comp. But aside from that, PLM looking for something proactive, and I think Dragon might be the first call here. But just as I say that, they do back off, considering they saw Sonic Wave activate, wake up the Dragon here, and they're just letting to fend for themselves. Yeah,
yeah, they have to make the Zed reach level 6 before they start contesting anything. Because Smexy is one level ahead. That is a losing Smite fight, especially against Lee Sin.
And aside from that, if we've noticed, the CS leads here once again, despite the blunders, despite all of those, Admu's solo lanes are still doing really well. If Shockwave comes in though, and there's going to be the Sonic Wave along with a Resonating Strike, and that aside from that, is going to be Smexy bursted down in one go here by Tabsu. Big damage here coming in here from the Silas, and that is going to be a missing jungler. So they really look like they're going to move towards Dragon at this point.
Oh, with a TP committed top lane, yeah, that's definitely Drake here for PLM. Yeah, I guess Mexy's not used to seeing jungle Zeds here. Yobel taking a little bit of damage, I think he's fine. Has to back off though, no mana means he's one bad abscond away from getting taken out, so he has to go for the recall. But yeah, I guess Mexy's not used to the damage of jungle Zed.
Big burst once again, because once again, even if it's jungle Zed, you have to respect the fact that Zed is all about that burst, and having Conqueror on his hands means that it's going to be increased by a mile. It's not going to be as immediate as say how to describe it?
Yeah, Electrocute, or even Dark Harvest.
Or even Dark Harvest, yeah. Like Electrocute is usually like the go-to solo queue. But I've noticed a lot of Zeds have been picking up the Conqueror recently.
Yeah, it does allow them to stay in the fight a lot longer, because you have a lot of ways to build up those stacks, right? On the Conqueror, so it's very easy to actually activate it despite not being a really brawly kind of champion at that point. The Smexy trying to go for the Rift Herald. First Rift Herald here. It can still a tough call to contest for Nop because he's one level behind. And it's a lot easier to leverage the execute of the Resonating Strike compared to the Contempt for the weak execute for O. It's going
French
to be
line
lane
coming
low.
in. This is going to be big. Tabsu has to back away. But
Flash.
yeah.
None for Flash.
None for Flash. Nothing.
So Lost waiting around the wings here if ever Yobel tries to push his luck. But I think that flashless Silas is a huge boost in Admu's confidence going in, because that means there's not going to be any flash abscond shockwaves happening anytime soon for Admu.
And aside from that, you already see that Yobel here is already building built Oblivion Orb first, meaning he really respects the sustain of Kingslayer even as early as possible. But just as I say that, there's a lot of Grievous Wounds that can be applied here by LG Hydra against PLM's heavy sustain vamping kind of champions. But another point is, how do I describe it? It seems like the itemization is going to be in favor of the Zed here. Nop looks like he has more items, despite the fact that there was more farm in favor of Smexy, because there's only an Iron Spike Whip and a Kindle Gem here in Smexy, but Nop is so close to getting his. I'm guessing that's a Duskblade, considering everything. Call of the Forge God being utilized. There comes the World Ender, but the World Ender is not going to be enough. Can he kill though? There's 1 HP left. All he has to do is breathe in that direction, and that wasn't enough. The Death Mark was there to finish it off, and it seems like PLM once again is in the driver's seat. The Exhaust is going to get utilized. There's going to be the TPs coming in here. Law has to back off. There's the Flash, and there's the Silas coming out here. Depth Charge gets stolen, and that's going to be the Killer Instinct afterwards. Smexy might be here to save the day, but is it going to be enough? There's the Shockwave only hitting 1. Resonating Strike gets another, and that's going to be LG Hydra looking for the hype that they need, because all they need right now is momentum, even just by a little bit. Have to cut off the momentum of Exos Haribons, or else they're gonna get run over.
That's very nice. Pretty much a 1-for-1 trade across the map, right? They trade a lot of summoners burned for both sides here. Once again, despite being the ones to commit first, Snake is actually fine despite the teleport being forced, because he can just rocket jump out. They get a really nice long resonating strike for the execute against PLM. That shutdown more valuable than the kill top side. Yeah, because there's more people involved. Plus, it was a shutdown, so it kind of evens out what PLM has built up for the past 5 minutes. And of course, more CS on the side of Admu's laners means that it pretty much comes out even for both of these teams. If you look at where it's concentrated, though, it's a lot more concentrated for PLM. It's in the hands of Nop. It's in the hands of Zeze and Tabsu as well, which I think means that they can still start fights a lot more.
It's a good distribution of gold, because in all honesty, the Aatrox is like, despite everything, he can still self-sustain, and he still has another sub task, which is to split push. Should he not succeed in lane?
He is just gonna possibly cut out even, if not behind, on the Swapito split push here, but at least he's not dying. He actually got an assist earlier against them, and Stabsu trying to play with fire here in Yobel.
Oh my goodness, the train of shockwaves!
That was fun. That was fun to watch, and it does mean that Tabsu comes out ahead because he has Kingslayer and Yobel doesn't, which means he's gonna get some push in on this mid lane. Rift Herald, not too much value obtained from that. Just a little few playthings that I don't think they got full value of so far. Drake's gonna come up. If you look at the ultimates, it's gonna be Yobel a little bit on the back foot. No Shockwave means that PLM is gonna be a little bit more confident. Meanwhile, Tabsu can steal another ultimate, possibly from Swapito. So Swapito has to be careful. If he sees Tabsu, he should not show up unless they're already rearing to fight for the Drake. And I do think that Admu will want to contest this.
They need to. They really need to, because once again, momentum for PLM is just unstoppable at this point. But they really need to find a way to stop this, because as much as possible, they can't. They cannot. And they get the dragon once again. That's a little bit of extra stats for them. Gold and stats is always important, especially since you want to end as early as possible.
Yeah, Ocean Drake on this comp is kind of okay. It's mostly beneficial for Tabsu and Jemoku, but it's not too big of a stat boost. Admu doesn't really lose too much in the short term by letting them have the Ocean Drake. Of course, if PLM gets the third Drake, then it becomes a pretty relevant problem, especially as we're going into Infernal Rift. Infernal Rift is going to help out Gemoq because he's kind of been lukewarm. He's okay being lukewarm, but it's mostly going to be effective on Kaisa and the Zed here. So they have to start controlling these Infernal Drakes now on the side of Admu. And yeah,
oh, what a finely done dredge line. That was threading the needle if I've ever seen it, because Snake gets the kill. And that's just standard top-level Nautilus right there.
Zayzay was tempting fate there. That was the worst. You have a Nautilus on the opposing side of the team. There, you have no business recalling right there.
Oh my god.
What would you recall there? There was no reason to do so. He was teasing him. He was teasing them. He paid for it. That is just rude. Zayzay was just being rude, and he got what was coming to him. Jesus.
Yes. Rude people get what they deserve. But yeah, like that's definitely another thing there. A big question mark on PLM side, but I'm pretty sure that felt good for LG Hydra. That felt real good for LG Hydra, I'm pretty sure. But now they're gonna have to find a way to siege in. Once again, they got first turret despite all the momentum shifting in Exos Haribons' favor. LG Hydra still managed to get first turret simply because of that quick pickoff over a really rude recall.
That's the rudest recall I've seen in the quarterfinals, but let's not dwell on that for now because Rift Herald is next on the chopping block. It's being started here by Smexy. He's got Overwatch from both sides by Kigran as well as Swapito. And of course, Snake is a little bit safe here. Might go for Tabsu. He just needs to clear the wave here to make sure that Smexy can secure this along with Swapito. So I think they're going to give the Rift Herald here. Once again, another opportunity here for Admu to get some gold in their pockets. It's a short-term thing that could, but if they get a mid-lane turret, possibly that could be a long-term. Oh, they're going to get denied the eye here.
They got so
that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate, but they still get the gold here from the Rift Herald.
But they do get a death charge against somebody big, and that somebody big is going to be the Kaisa. That's a big catch if I've ever seen one. And right now, I think they're going to continue. They're going to continue what they want to do, which is going to be sieging these turrets and zoning everyone out. And Yobel at the side, split pushing like a madman, like pretending he's not Oriana with that split push capability.
And he's got TP, which is fine. So all he needs to do is clear the waves, pressure PLM a little bit over there. And it's going to be... It doesn't really need... The wave wasn't really built up too fast, so it's really just Yobel farming it out and pushing it in. But now Admu a little bit of a lead. Very, very small lead there. Very unfortunate that they couldn't get the Eye of the Rift Herald. PLM, okay, they can get the Rift Herald, but can they take the Eye? Is a big question for PLM, and they were able to defend that quite well until it despawned. I think they kind of tunnel visioned on preventing the Rift Herald pickup though, so Zayzay kind of got caught out of position. They have to really be mindful of Zayzay's positioning because there's so many things on Admu's side that the moment he walks up to auto attack range that he could already be walking into the wrong neighborhood. Like a death charge isn't the only thing that could take out this Kaisa.
There's so many ways. A Sonic Wave can destroy the Kaisa. A single Call of the Forge God can destroy the Kaisa. Right now, though, you're gonna look at Swapito. He's not gonna be able to fight Gemoq at this point, simply because of the fact that the Gore Drinker is already fully built, and that means that this Aatrox will never die unless you have some help.
It's really gonna be all about Swapito applying the Grievous Wounds here, but that also means that Gemoq has to hit him. But either way, this is going to be a huge boost in Gemoq's survivability. It's just, and considering the damage from Admu, unless he's in the brunt of the shockwave and then constantly hammered by Snake's shot, he should be able to brawl it out despite not being it. Because his CS isn't too bad. 19 minutes, 160 CS. That's not too bad. And the next Drake's going to be coming up. Both of these teams are quite evenly matched. In terms of gold, in terms of stats. Snake might be running into a little bit of a lull in his Tristana because he's only at 1.5 items, but this might be the fight that changes.
Call of the Forge God being used here by Tabsu, though, being utilized, and that's going to be another Call of the Forge God being responded with, only hits 1. And that's going to be big for them because this Aatrox is unfriggin' killable. And the Shockwave, though, does take 1 out, but it doesn't matter because this Zed is going to town. Killer Instinct being utilized. And there's going to be the Acathian Rain. Deathmark being utilized afterwards. And this might be the kill. This might be the team fight that PLM is looking for. Exos, Haribons, flying all over the LG Hydra.
2 for 4 here, and soul pressure coming in now. So where everything goes wrong here is they're kind of split apart. They don't have Sopito in the front line because he's right there in the other corner. One of their other members was forced to retreat onto the left side. And when you're on the run, PLM's comp is actually really good at the pursuit, right? And like you said, Jemoku is pretty much unkillable there because he had a Gourd Rinker, and he had to be put down to a sliver of his HP and still survive. Zeze, knowing that, okay, now that they don't have Sopito, now that Smexy is pretty much out of the picture, Zeze can just go in with a Killer Instinct to try and finish off the Snake without getting punished for it. And there we go. They have soul pressure. Gold is still pretty much even, but the with just the PD and the Kraken Slayer, it's still not fully online here for Snake. So PLM can use this opportunity to keep fighting and possibly leverage a lead here against Admu.
And right now, Exos Haribons in the driver's seat is real scary because once again, we talked about how they can easily close a game with this kind of comp. But this is where LG Hydra starts to shine if they're behind. They like to keep it patient. And just as I say that, there's a miss of the dredge line there. There's going to be the shockwave. Along with that, it's going to be the depth charge being stolen away. But of course, the Everfrost being utilized is going to be big. And oh my goodness, Smexy gets taken out. He didn't even get near any single one of them. And he gets stun locked for days, knocked up for days, and nobody gets any damage from anyone, and nobody's happy except Exos Haribons.
Yeah, 1 kill there, small prize here for PLM, but the fact of the matter is they can take those fights. Because right now, Snake is not in a position where he is hyper carrying just yet. He has 2 items, he has 3, 2, and 3 on the scoreboard, but it's not enough if you compare it to the kill potential that PLM has against him. He doesn't have the max range on that Tristana just yet, so if Nop finds him, it could mean the end of him, because 1 rocket jump away means that that's like 1.5 seconds where you're not DPSing, and you're moving your backline further away from your front line, which means your front line is getting isolated while Zeze is melting them down. So right now, Snake, all the eggs are on him. The Admu has to play keep away here and keep that egg from being cracked. Extend the game for a little bit. Infernal Soul is going to be a hard trade, but if Admu feels like that they cannot contest Infernal Soul, then they should back off. Let PLM have it and bite the bullet. Maybe get some revenge later when Snake is fully online and can fully be peeled here by Kegron.
Hopefully. But right now, Exos Haribons won't let go. I'm pretty sure they won't let go of any of the chokeholds they have. Even if LG's gonna, they're gonna make sure, that LG is gonna tap on that choke, because it really is, this kind of aggression is super important, because this is the test of time here for LG Hydra. Time and time again, they get, if they get outpaced, they have such a hard time. And Yobel gets shockwave, he gets exhausted, and everything else but the kitchen sink being thrown at him as Tabsu gets the kill. And this is just Exos Haribons once again constantly choking, setting the pace. You want to talk about a stranglehold? This is the most violent stranglehold I've ever seen done by a Haribon.
PLM knows that they can't let LG Hydra chill for right now, because they are approaching. Snake already has the V of Swords. They are approaching the level where Hydra can start fighting back. So while they haven't reached that point, PLM has to beat down Admu and build up a lead. So when Admu actually goes online, PLM can still fight toe-to-toe.
Gotta make sure. Critical mass is super important here for LG Hydra. But they only have 1 source of actual damage, which is Snake. The fact of the matter is, everyone else has to facilitate around each other, and only Snake is going to be the one guy. And Exos Haribons, on the other hand, they can do cross map plays. They have a lot of burst from all their from their jungler and their mid laner. They have a lot of long range pickoff potential the moment Zeze joins in the fight. Killer Instinct is pretty easy. of a gap closer to join in on fights.
And right now, 4-1-9 is a very comfortable position for a Zed to be having. Already has the Eclipse, already has the Yomus as well. So that does mean that it's going to be a while before this Zed falls off. And he's going to be relevant for the rest of this game for the most part. Either PLM finishes this game 3-30, or after 30, Nop is still a very big presence in terms of damage that he can threaten with his Eclipse and going in. Now, once again, this is threatening Infernal Soul. Infernal Soul in the hands of a Zed 4-1-9 is very scary. So Admo knows this. They're the ones starting it. Will it get stolen? It does get secured.
No. It does get secured. But now Call of the Forge God being utilized. Only one person, one versus four in both sides. But finally, the Killer Instinct's going to be utilized, and that's going to be a big shockwave, taking down the Kaisa. But that's the only one taken. Everyone else gets cleaned up. Look at all that damage from all these carries. I don't think LG Hydra has any of the tools to get them out of the way. Right now, are you gonna, do you really think you could fight? No. 2.5 items, it's not enough.
Fury was unkillable. Crucial there that he was locked down. Swapito's lockdown could not get the knockup out, just to buy his team a little bit more time. And even with Snake dealing so much damage to melt them down, the death mark catches up to him. And like I said, it might have been worth it for Admo. Okay, now, if they lose the Baron here, they will lose the Baron here. That means that it should have been more worth it for Admo to back off of the Infernal Break right at that point. I think they really tried hard to deny it from PLM, but at what cost? They let PLM engage on them because they were the ones that were doing that break.
Yep. And look how tall all of the damage dealers for PLMs are. 6'1", 6'1", 6'5". These guys could be a basketball team, but instead they're playing League of Legends right here against LG Hydra. That's insane.
Yeah, 5k gold lead. At 27 minutes, that's a pretty decent lead there. It's gonna get cut down to 4k with that turret, but PLM, once again, they're still at that point where they're in the driver's seat. They know that Admo can't really fight back against them, because no matter what damage Admo brings out, Snake is not going to be able to keep up with all the damage that PLMs do, because they have 4 different damage dealers. If Snake, even just one wrong move from Snake, it's going to be the end of that team fight for Admo. Meanwhile, PLM, they can lose Nop, they can lose Tabsu, because Zeze and Jemoki are probably going to be picking up the slack. And Jemoki hasn't died. He hasn't got any kills, but like you said, he's unkillable right now with that Gore Drinker and his lifesteal, his physical vamp passives.
Yep, it's insane. Like, if you look at it, even with the Bramble Vest, even with the Oblivion Orb, it's not enough application of Grievous Wounds for anyone to negate the World Ender Aatrox. Once he's in that state, you are practically not killing this man, especially if it's World Ender plus the Gore Drinker. You're just gonna get frustrated. It's such a tilter of like a build. But that's the standard build of Aatrox, and that's how you have to deal with it.
Dragon's Rage being yoinked here could be dangerous here. Tabsu, thankfully for Admo, does not have the flash, so he can't go for like fake insect plays with the abscond into flash Dragon's Rage. But once again, PLM knows what they have to do, right? They know that not only do they have soul pressure, they're at the point in the game where where they're not getting run over by the Tristan. So, and even with the 3 items, PLM has built up enough of a lead, concentrated a lot of the gold here on the important members, not Tabsu Zeze. Jemoki is fine with his Gore Drinker there. That's definitely fine. So they can just go in there and face tank Admo's damage, because they know that by the time Snake pulls out a lot of damage against 2 members, the rest of them will have reached him, even with the resets on the rocket jump.
Man, that was absolutely disrespectful, just walking up to the Nautilus like that.
Yeah.
And then whacking him once. That's the confidence that you need to fight against LG Hydra. And LG Hydra, once again, having a hard time against this, like, a faster pace. If they get sucked into somebody else's pace, they don't know how to take the wheel back in their direction.
Yeah, and it's always been an issue with LGs when they're the ones if they're not in a chill position, where they're constantly being threatened, they're constantly one team fight away from losing inhibs and maybe losing Nexus turrets, they have a lot of trouble maintaining posture here. And PLM knows that. They sniff the blood in the air, and with the next break coming up, they could be forcing LG's hand again when LG doesn't have to.
I think once again, this is going to be a desperation dragon here for LG Hydra. Let's see how many dragons they can move towards before the eventual dragon soul right here. But aside from that, they need to find a way to reposition. They don't have TPs available, so they can't really split the map. But the Call of the Forge God being utilized this early, and I think that was Tabsu's, and he does get stolen. He has to take it away. And yes, thank goodness that's already being taken away from Tabsu, but they don't have a healthy jungler in this next fight. And I hope, like, I just really hope there's going to be a miracle coming in here for LG Hydra. Because right now, Exos Haribons is knocking, but that's going to be a big knockup. But the Gore Drinker, once again, prevents him from dying just at the last minute. Shockwave! Big shockwave coming in here. And the Death Mark going to be out there, but the Exos is going to negate the damage. And this is the fight that they were looking for after a million years. This is what they want. And this is going to just be the Kaisa standing at the last minute.
Why? Why is my question to PLM? You did not need to go for that fight. You caught out Swapito. You had Gemokyu come in for just to face tank all that damage, and you get caught in the shockwave too. There was no reason for them to go for that fight as it was. All they could have done, okay, we ran into Swapito. Can't really lock us down as much as LG would want us. Let's just back off from that fight. That should have been PLM's play. They should have backed off when they realized that they're not getting through Swapito and Kiagrung. They could have just leveraged the threat of the Infernal Drake. They have waves pushing bot lane, top lane. If they can just keep Admu busy, you know, play hooky with Admu, or we're gonna take the Infernal Soul, or we're not gonna take the Infernal Soul, we're gonna push in the waves. If you play with Admu like that, I think PLM could have forced them to make a mistake where Snake just dies. But there, they let Snake lie. And still though, PLM can still, that's a big throw with Inhib down. But Inhib's, at this stage of the game, if Admu can't leverage the Inhib, PLM might actually be better off with Inhib down, getting more gold. But, come on man, you didn't need to do that.
It's overexcitement. It's honestly overexcitement because they were getting so close. LG Hydra was having such a hard time, but once again, Exos Haribons still at a really good pace. They still have Soul Point. They still have a lot of pressure, a lot of mental damage against LG Hydra. But LG Hydra slowly pacing themselves a bit better this time, realizing that Exos Haribons had no reason to fight. As you said, you already mentioned
right there. You should have waited for the Drake.
Yeah, they could have waited for the Drake. They could have waited for LG Hydra to get a little too panicky towards the dragon. But instead, they pushed their issue, especially without a stolen Call of the Forge God. That was also another fatal flaw.
But for the next 2 minutes or so, 3 minutes, okay, 2 minutes, PLM is at an advantage despite Admu getting that second Drake and getting a lot of gold from there. Because there's no exhaust on Snake right now. Exhaust was a big part of why that Zed could not 100 to 0 that Snake. Here, there's no exhaust. There is a GA though, is the big thing. There is a GA, so that could be a spanner in the works. But without the exhaust...
World Ender, they're going all in. Once again, Gemokyu wants to go in, but instead, he does, like everyone else in LG Hydra backs off. They realize, we can't fight this. Not right now. But that being said, that's World Ender down.
Yep, World Ender down. They are going to try and press. They are getting split push bot side with a teleport on Admu active, but they're taking down this Baron pretty fast.
That's free.
Admu tapped the trigger.
They can't pull the trigger. Oh my goodness!
Oh my god!
Shockwave! This is the biggest team fight that they could ever possibly get, even without the exhaust. I think this is game. It's game. It's game. It's over. The TPs.
That's game. That's game.
I was honestly thinking, they can't engage. Not yet. Not without Call of the Forge God. But instead, you see the spiciest shockwave. The nastiest, the dirtiest, the smelliest shockwave known to man.
That was nasty. And Admu takes away the series 2-0 against PLM Exos Haribons. You saw the sound I made when that happened. It's a mix of anger, disgust, worry, excitement, amazement.
Oh my god. Oh my god, that was not what I was expecting. That was not what I was expecting at all. The stolen Baron, I thought that was it. I thought that was like, okay, your luck has run out, LG Hydra. I don't think you could get it.
That's
Big
insane.
shockwave. Rest in peace.
Oh my lord.
Rest in
They
peace.
bunched up so much. I want to see this replay. I want to see this happen again. Because that was inhuman. That was inhuman. They pick it up. Oh, look at it. It was a resonating strike that picked it up. They got all of that. Because obviously, if you're in Baron, right, your backliners are in front of or at the back of the river, which meant that
Like they were free pickings for the shockwave. It was Baron 101, like Baron play 101. It like Hydra didn't do anything too flashy. They did something incredibly textbook, but they did it incredibly well.
that was a stars aligning. No. Admu made the stars align. Right?
Yep.
They pressured. Admu knew that PLM knew that they had to make something happen before the exhaust was back up, which meant that PLM might have focused too much. Okay, let's take down the Baron and then turn once they come here. Let's secure it and then let's turn. But then everything just falls apart. They're all bunched up for the shockwave. They're all bunched up for the knockup from the depth charge.
All of the Forge God, like just as the final follow-up. Ooh, that was nasty, but that is how you gotta play. That is amazing. You gotta capitalize on whatever flaws your enemy's thinking, and that's what LG Hydra did. 2-0. After such a game that I thought, oh, we're gonna go to a game 3. I'm not gonna sleep tonight. This is gonna be massive. No. Instead, we see the comeback of a lifetime off of one single shockwave.
PLM got parried.
Yeah, that was the nastiest parry in the history of man, and they move on to fight off against MGS Mages.
Oh my god. Okay.
This is gonna be their run back. This is gonna be their revenge against MGS Mages. But that being said, honest to God, like we thought, okay, they have a slight advantage because there's no more world ender, there's none of this and that.
Yeah.
Just went crazy. My blood's still boiling. Crazy. It's amazing.
Which means we have some pretty good storylines coming up for the semis next week. You know, because we got DLSU Asian Baby Boys versus POP Ipsilos. That's a new matchup that we have not seen. But other side, it's gonna be Admo LG Hydra versus MU MGS Mages in the losers finals of NCO Season 2 in the Metro losers finals. MU MGS Mages 2-0 Admo LG Hydra. So now LG Hydra is going to have a revenge match here against their old competitors. And with a new season, relative. Okay, for LG Hydra, it's still pretty much the same roster. For Mages, it's 3/5 of the same roster, but generally it's a revenge match, right?
Yeah.
And with a different meta, things might play out differently.
And honestly, the storylines are going to be spicy. Honestly, honest to God, spicy. You have one team that we thought, okay, they can actually beat a champion with MGS Mages, a team that could actually beat a champion, something that wasn't proven in the previous season. And on the other hand, LG Hydra, we talked about their weakness of not being able to keep up with pace that is not set by them. And doing this, a beautiful comeback, that already silences the doubters, if ever.
Yeah, like I said, Leonardo DiCaprio, they passed the auditions for The Revenant. Now they just have to act it. Right? They just have to act it and deliver all the way from semis, all the way to finals. But the Mages are going to be stopping them. Or rather, the Mages are going to be trying to stop them. They're going to be the obstacles in the way of LG Hydra's redemption. But that was an intense 2 series there for our last bit of quarterfinals, guys. I'm so stoked for semis next week.
And of course, that next week is going to be, of course, we're going to wrap it up today because next week is going to be these semifinals, the spiciest semifinals you'll ever get to see your entire life. But right now, I think it's time to say goodbye. You've been watching AcadArena National Campus Open featuring League of Legends, all the top best collegiate teams once again fighting for the right to hashtag own the islands. That's an understatement. They are clawing their way, and they're going to see more of that in the next week of our semifinals at National Campus Open.
We have been your shoutcasters. I'm Hiron. With me was young Rafiki. and I hope to see you guys next week for our semifinals.